Hey, it's Chris Meyer.
Chris Bowling.
Hey, CB, we've got two great guests that work alongside us with our self-funded clients. I want to welcome Tom Edwards and Scott Jones into In Focus with Chris
Yes,
and Chris. Hey, guys.
How you
Morning.
doing today?
we
Doing
are
well.
great.
Doing well. So the two of you spend a lot of time helping our clients that are self-funded in the medical space not only prepare for renewals, but understand what's going on behind the scenes in that self-funded health plan. And we're going to do two parts with you here over the next few weeks. But to kick it off, I'd like to know just a little bit about your background and what you've done in the industry, because you specialize really, like I said, in self-funded with larger cases. But Tom, I'll go to you. What got you to this point in your career, and really what's your area of specialty for our clients?
Well, thanks, Chris. Tom Edwards. I'm a senior vice president with the Benefits Underwriting and Actuarial Department for AssuredPartners. You can tell by the gray hair, I've been doing this a while. Started in the industry in 1980, and I've been underwriting for over 40 years with a couple of different carriers before coming over to AssuredPartners. And I've been with AssuredPartners companies for over 30 years. And so a lot of underwriting, data analytics, you name it, from the underwriting and actuarial side. So
Excellent.
Turn it over to Scott.
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
My name is Scott Jones, and Tom hired me about 18 years ago, and we've been working together ever since. I also have about 40 years in the employee benefits and underwriting industry, and like Tom, I support you all in the AP large group data analytics and underwriting. My background is employee benefits, ancillary lines, medical, prescription drug, all that life and disability stuff as well. And prior to coming to AssuredPartners, I worked for the carriers, including MetLife, Blue Shield of California, AIG, some of those folks. And so I'll be working with Tom on medical and prescription drug renewals, data analytics, and projections.
No, that's
Now,
great. Go ahead, Chris.
you mentioned self-funded, but you've actually helped us with some fully insured clients as well. I mean, not just through that renewal evaluation, but helping us, Chris and our client figure out should they even go self-funded. So, again, I don't know if we have time, Chris, to talk about that now or if that's in our next segment, but that's been extremely helpful for us.
I think that for both of you, what we've recognized is, again, whether it's preparing for self-funding or monitoring the self-funding, there is so much that goes on behind the scenes to understand and tell the story of that client based on their claims and their experience. And I think the two of you have done such a good job of taking the data that we talk about being able to analyze and bringing something meaningful to the conversation. So you deliver not just numbers or a report, but actually the story behind what's going on. Did you see that happening in your prior careers, or has that evolved more as you've been with AssuredPartners to be able to tell the story of what's happening with the client?
Great question, Chris. We've been doing that for quite a long time, but what I think we've seen over the last few years that's really been helpful is the development of a lot of the actuarial programs and tools in terms of data analytics that allow us to really dig into the claims experience, and not just the standard utilization patterns of how many folks are going to which hospital or which doctor, but we have some programs that are really, really nice that allow us to provide actionable data for specific gaps in care. For example, diabetics who aren't receiving their blood sugar tests, avoidable ER admissions, things like that, that in the old days, we really didn't have those tools, but we've seen a huge advancement recently in being able to use those. And that helps us not only in terms of claims analysis, but what can we do to help improve the health of the underlying population? And that's really the key to controlling costs and making people healthier.
I like that idea of actionable data, because it's one thing to say we know it's going on, but then we want to take that next step and help educate the employees on here's something that's going to help fix that for you to make them healthier. But you can educate on anything, but if it's not really targeting something that will be meaningful for them or for the health of the entire population, we're just throwing stuff out there. Scott, I know you've done a lot of the projections for us of looking forward to what that plan is going to look like or what costs are going to be. You live in Excel. I know that. That's your happy place, as you've said.
You know, I've been known or called, I think they say I geek out on the data analytics stuff, but I'm not afraid to go down the rabbit hole with Excel and to really model these things in a technical way. But to Tom's strength, Tom's too modest. We can also bring just experiential assets to the conversation. Some of the best renewals are kind of just intuitively on the backs of napkins, and we don't really do that, but we can take multiple approaches to see if we're all coming up with the same approach.
Yes.
And a self-funded plan may be on the cusp of being recommended. Depends on the client size and their claim patterns and whether or not they're going through mergers and acquisitions. And so there are a lot of things that that we take into consideration. We try to obviously do what's best for the client and project what we believe is a fair and renewable option for the clients. And
yeah. Well, it's one of those things, Chris and I have always mentioned, that we think that data really controls the strategy. And that's what makes it kind of just work so well with the two of you is we're validating what's going on. And if we say this is a good idea, we can all say that, but until we actually can prove that actuarially or prove that with a projection forward, it's just an idea that's out there. So it really helps us execute upon the strategy from there. CB, you've been doing this a little bit longer than I have. I have to give you that credit, right? But what have you seen now working more in tune with data as opposed to just doing a carrier specific report?
And again, I hate to blame everything on COVID, but I will tell you this year, I think was the most difficult year to try to get underwriters to listen because the data got so skewed in 2020 and 21.
Yep.
Is that, all these trend increases were just way out of whack because everyone, as we know, most of us couldn't get into, have healthcare done in 2020. At the end of 2021, things started opening up. And I got to tell you, these two guys right here saved our tail on a client on a renewal that we couldn't get figured out. Both of us were like, how could that rate increase be that high? And once again, you two are selling yourself way too short. You dug so deep into that data and got the underwriter to even admit that, maybe some of my trend numbers are not fully vetted and, saved our client hundreds of thousands of dollars. But I have seen this year being one of the most difficult years to get underwriting models to match up with what the carrier models are showing us. And I don't truly know how we could have done it without you guys.
Well, thanks, Chris. Yeah, you're right. This has been a wacky couple of years from an underwriting standpoint. 2020 claims were down, but then 2021, they popped back up again. And there was definitely some pent-up demand, and then figuring all that out and then convincing the underwriters that we're right and they're overstating it is not an easy task. But we've been pretty fortunate to be able to work closely with you and with some of the underwriting teams at the carriers to achieve some pretty good results. So
that's very true. Well, I know in our next session, we want to talk a little bit more about what you're seeing, maybe that evolution out of 2020 and 21, some of the trends that maybe you've identified that employers need to be aware of. As we record part 2, we'll talk through that next week. But I appreciate you both jumping on, Scott and Tom. We'll catch you again for next week.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
Bye now.